So for the lesson 3, we have the topic about the study of criminal behavior. At this lesson, I learned to appraise the importance of psychology in understanding criminal behavior. And I realized the importance of criminal psychology in the field of law enforcement. I can also now illustrate and explain the birth of crime and identify the causes of criminal behavior. This also helped me to link the effects of frustration, conflicts, aggression, and negative human values to crime causation. This lesson, I also understand the existence of three parts of personality consisting of id, ego, and superego, which operated in instant conflict with one another, producing the basic problem of guilt, which required the use of one or more defense mechanisms. So, id is the pleasure principle, ego is the reality principle, and superego are the issued mostly unconsciously in a form of commands or don't statements. Other defense mechanism that I discover in this lesson is the sublimation, repression, regression, denial or intellectualization, projection, fixation, undoing, reaction, and displacement. Another discovery that I found in this lesson is the theory of human development provided by Sigmund Freud. These ideas revolved around his terms to the three stages of early childhood. The oral stage, age 0 to 2, is when a person develops their sense of satisfaction or sanitation. And the second stage is the anal stage, age 2 to 3, is when a person develops their sense of orderliness or figuring out their prepared levels of cleanliness. And next stage is the genital stage, which is age 3 to 4, is when a person develops their sexuality or figuring out their sexual preference and whether they are capable of real love or not. Another topic that we have discussed in this lesson are the classification of behavior. So we have two behavior, the normal behavior and abnormal behavior. Normal behavior or the adaptive or adjustment behavior is the standard behavior, the totally accepted behavior because they follow the standard norms of society. While the abnormal behavior is the maladaptive or maladjusted behavior. It is a group of behavior that is deviant from social expectation because they go against the norms or standard behavior of society. So we have different kinds of behavior. First one is the overt or covert behavior. Behaviors that are outwardly manifested or those that are directly observable are overt behavior. On the other hand, the covert behaviors are behaviors that are hidden and not visible to the naked eye. Next is the conscious or unconscious behavior. Behavior is conscious when acts are within the level of awareness. It is unconscious when acts are embedded in one subconscious unaware. Next is the simple or complex behavior. These are acts categorized according to the number of neurons involved the process of behaving. So, simple behavior involves less number of neurons or neutrons, while complex behavior involves more number of neutrons or a combination of simple behavior. We also have the rational and rational behavior. So, for rational behavior, it is when a person acted with sanity or reason and there is irrational behavior when the person acted with no apparent reason or explanation, as when a man loses her sanity and laugh out loud at nobody or nothing in particular. And the last one kind of behavior is the voluntary or involuntary behavior. So for voluntary behavior, it is an act done with full volition or will, such as when we discriminate, decide, or choose. While the involuntary behaviors refers to the bodily process that pose or even when we are awake or asleep, like respiration, circulation, and digestion. So the other topic that we have discussed in this lesson is the different aspect of behavior. So we have the intellectual aspect, emotional aspect, social aspect, moral aspect, physiological aspect, political aspect, and value or attitude. So at this lesson, I also discovered that there is a formula to determine the birth of criminal behavior. So the criminal formula is explaining the birth of criminal behavior. We must consider the three factors. These are the criminalistic tendency or the T, and the total situation represent letter S, and the person mental and emotional resistance to temptation represent the letter R. So for the next topic, we have the determinants of behavior. Under it is the heredity or the biological factors. Another factors is the environmental factors. This is refers to anything around the person that influences his action. James Coleman in his book mentioned some environmental factors such as family background, childhood trauma, pathogenic family structures. Under the pathogenic structure family, we have the inadequate family, the antisocial family, the discordant or disturbed family, and the disrupted family. Other than that, we have also other determinants of behavior. We have the needs and drives. Needs, according to drive the reduction theory, is a biological requirement for well-being of the individual. This need creates drives, a psychological state of arousal that prompts someone to take action. The needs can be classified as biological or psychological needs. Biological needs is what we take in able to survive, like food, water, sex, pain avoidance, and stimulus seeking, while the psychological needs is influenced primarily by kind of society in which the individual is raised. Under this, we have the Maslow hierarchy of need. Number 1 is the biological or physiological needs. These motives include the need for food, water, oxygen, activity, and sleep. Number 2 is the safety needs. This pertains to the motives of being cared for and being secured, such as an income and place to live. Number 3 is the love and belongingness. Belongingness is integration into various kinds of social groups or social organization, while love needs mean need for affection. Another one is the cognitive needs. It is our motivation for learning and exploring. Number 5 is the esteem needs. It is our motivation for an honest, fundamental respect for a person as a useful and honorable human being. Number 6 is the aesthetic needs. These needs are motivation for beauty and order. And the last needs are the self-actualization. It pertains to human total satisfaction when people are motivated not so much by unmet needs as by the desire to become all they are capable. Within this lesson, we also discuss the frustration, conflict, and anxiety. Frustration refers to the unpleasant feelings that result from the lacking of motive satisfaction. It is also forms of stress which result tension, while conflict refers to the simultaneous arousal of two or more incompatible motives resulting to unpleasant emotions. So we have different types of conflicts. We have the double approach conflict, double avoidance conflict, approach avoidant conflict, and multiple approach avoidance conflict. Next is the anxiety. Anxiety is an intangible feeling that seems to evade any effort to resolve it. It is also called neurotic fear. It can be intense, it can be low, and it can be a motivating force. Another one is the stress. It is the process of adjusting to or dealing with the circumstances that disrupt or threatens the person's physical or psychological functioning. Another topic that we have discussed in this lesson is the patterns of criminal behavior. So we have the neurotic or psychoneurotic behaviors. These are the groups of mild functioning personality disorders in which there is no gross personality disorganization. The individual does not lose contact with reality, and hospitalization is not required. So there is two basic neurotic lifestyle. We have the neurotic nucleus, the faulty evaluation of reality and the tendency to avoid rather than to cope with stress. And number 2, we have the neurotic paradox. This tendency is to maintain the lifestyle, its maladaptive nature. It is characterized by unhappiness and dissatisfactions. So under the neurotic behavior, we have the anxiety disorders. These are commonly known as neurotic fear. When it is occasional but intense, it is called panic. But when it is mild but continuous, it is called worry. So there are classification of anxiety disorders. We have the obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsession usually centered on fear that one will submit to an uncontrollable impulse to do something wrong, while compulsion, on the other hand, had resulted from repetitive acts. We have also the asthenic disorder. It is characterized by chronic mental and physical fatigue and various aches and pains. Another disorder under the neurotic behavior is the somatoform disorders. It is a complaint of bodily symptoms that suggest the presence of physical problem but no organic basis can be found. And we have the classification of somatoform disorders. We have the hypochondriasis. This refers to the excessive concern about the state of health or physical condition. So also we have under this is we have the psychogenetic pain disorder, and it is characterized by the report of severe and lasting pain. Either no physical basis is apparent reaction greatly in excess of what would be expected from physical abnormality. Another disorder under the somatoform is the conversion disorders or hysteria. It is a neurotic pattern in which symptoms or some physical malfunction or loss of control without any underlying organic abnormality. Another disorder under the neurotic behavior is the dissociative disorders. It is a response to obvious stress characterized by amnesia, multiple personality, and depersonalization. One example of this is the amnesia. It is a partial or total inability to recall or identify past experiencing following the traumatic incident. So, under the amnesia, we have the brain pathology amnesia. It is the total loss of memory and it cannot be retrieved by a simple means. While the other one is the psychogenetic amnesia. It is a failure to recall stored information and still they are beneath the level of consciousness but forgotten material. Another type of dissociative disorders is the multiple personality. It is called dual personalities. The reason manifests two or more symptoms of personality, usually dramatically different. Another under the dissociative disorder is the depersonalization. It is the loss of sense of self or the so-called out-of-body experience. Next disorder under the neurotic behavior is the mood disorder, often referred to as affective disorders. However, the critical pathology in this disorder is one of the mood, which is internal state of person and not of affect the external expression or emotional content. So we have the classification of mood disorders. We have the depressive disorder. Under it is the major depressive disorder. Patient with depressed mood have a loss of energy and interest, feeling of guilt, difficulty in concentrating, loss of appetite, and thoughts of death or suicide. They are not affected with the manic episode. At this lesson, we have also discussed the different psychopathic behavior. So, psychopathic behavior is the second group of abnormal behaviors which typically stem from immature and distorted personality development, resulting in persistent maladaptive ways of perceiving and thinking. They are generally called as personality or character disorder. Personality disorders, they are called disorder of character. The person here is characterized as a problematic without the psychosis. This disorder is characterized disrupted personal relationship, dependent or passive and aggressive behavior. The classification of personality disorder are cited by Coleman. These are the following: the paranoid personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, avoidant personality disorder, dependent personality disorder, passive-aggressive personality disorder, compulsive personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder, also called as psychopathic personality disorder. Upon learning this lesson, I also discovered the different sexual deviation and disorder of females and males. So, those affecting males, we have the erectile insufficiency or the impotency. Number 2 is the premature ejaculation. Number 3 is the retarded ejaculation. And for those affecting females, we have the arousal insufficiency. Number 2 is the orgasmic dysfunction. Number 3 is the vaginismus. And the last one is the dyspareunia. And we have also tackled the different sexual behaviors leading to sex crime. So, as to sexual reversal, we have the homosexuality. It is a sexual behavior directed toward the same sex. And also we have the transvestism. It refers to the achievement of sexual excitation by dressing as a member of the opposite sex. And we have the fetishism. We have the sexual gratification is obtained by looking at some body parts, underwear, or the opposite sex or the other object associated with the opposite sex. Next is as to the choice of partner. So we have the pedophilia, a sexual perversion where a person have the compulsive desire to have sexual intercourse with a child. Next is the bestiality. The sexual gratification is attained by having sexual intercourse with animal. Another is the autosexual. It is also called self-abuse. A sexual satisfaction is carried out without the cooperation of another. Next is the gerontophilia. It is a sexual desire with an elder person. Another one is the necrophilia, an erotic desire or actual intercourse with a corpse. And last one is the incest, a sexual intercourse between people who by reason or blood relationship cannot legally marry. Another behavior leading to sex crime is as to sexual urge. We have the satyriasis, an excessive desire of men to have sexual intercourse. And next is the nymphomania, a strong sexual feeling of women with an excessive sexual urge. Another sexual behavior leading to crime is as mode of sexual expression. So we have the oralism. It is the use of mouth or the tongue as a way of sexual satisfaction. Under this, we have the fellatio, male sex organ to the mouth of woman coupled with the act of sucking that initiate orgasm. Next is the cunnilingus, a sexual gratification is attained by licking the external female genitalia. And letter C, we have the anilism, licking the anus of the sexual partner. Under this mode of sexual expression, we have the sadomasochism. Sadism is achievement of sexual stimulation and gratification through the infliction of physical pain or on the sexual partner. And masochism, the infliction of pain to oneself to achieve sexual pleasure. Next is the as to part of the body. So we have the sodomy. It is an actual act through the anus of sexual partner. And uranism, sexual gratification is attained through the fingering or holding the breast or licking parts of the body. And another one is the fruitage. We have the act of rubbing the sex organ against the body part of another person. And the last one of the part of the body is the partialism. It refers to the sexual libido on any part of the body of a sexual partner. And next sexual behavior leading to crime is the as to visual stimulus. So we have the voyeurism. The person is commonly called the peeping tom, an achievement of sexual pleasure through the clandestine peeping such as peeping to dressing room, couples room, and etc. And another one is the scoptophilia, the intentional act of watching people undress or during sexual intimacies. Another one of sexual behavior is the as to number of participants in sexual act. We have the triodism. 3 persons participate in sex such as in 2 women versus a man or vice versa. And next is the pluralism, a group of persons in sexual orgies such as couple to couple sexual relation. It is also called a sexual festival. And other sexual abnormalities, we have the exhibitionism. It is called indecent exposure, intentional exposure of genitals to the members of the opposite sex under the inappropriate condition. Next is the copropalia, the use of obscene language to achieve sexual gratification. And the last one is the Don Juanism, the act of seducing women as a career without the permanency of sexual partner or companion. And those are the things that I learned in this lesson. And because of this, I realized that behavior has a big factor that lead a person to commit a crime.